conversation. Now, the first conversation we are supposed to have this morning is about matters medical and travel insurance. Do you have medical insurance? Do you take travel insurance when you're traveling? And just what challenges do you face? That we shall be discussing with Nixon Shigole. He is the Managing Director at AAR Insurance Kenya. Welcome on set.
Thank you.
We can just start off with a bit of some statistics. Kenya's insurance penetration is about 2.8%, and most of it is in the motor vehicle and medical. So where you lie. Could you just give us your experience in terms of the insurance sector of it?
Thank you. The penetration, the global penetration is at around 7.2. Those are statistics for 2020. Okay. And you can see where Africa lies, or Kenya. Kenya is at around 2.8, as you've said, and we are very far from the global average of 7.2%. In Africa, South Africa is the one that tops with the market share of with a penetration of around 15%, and it is leading even in the world globally. It's among the leading countries with penetration rates that are high. Kenya, now the experience in Kenya is that we are coming from a Harambee philosophy, and many people then don't find insurance as attractive because we rely on family. If we have a problem, the family will contribute to help us pay the bills. If there is a funeral, we come together, we create WhatsApp group, we raise money, and we pay for the expenses. Yet, buying an insurance for funeral is very cheap. With 500 shillings per year, you'll get 100,000 plus of benefit for funeral cover or for funeral expense, and people still prefer to come together and raise funds. So the main thing, maybe I would say, it's awareness, is people not taking insurance as an important aspect of their basic need.
When you talk about the Harambee mentality, I mean, it moved from physical Harambees, as you said. Now we do WhatsApp groups, and most of the time when someone passes on, people don't really think to ask, is there a funeral cover? It's always, let's start putting the money together. So what benefit would it give someone, a Kenyan who is watching, to have, say, a funeral cover or a medical cover that has a last expense?
It's first of all, the benefits are enormous, because remember, if you have a medical cover, medical covers will always come with a last expense or a funeral cover attaching to it, because it's usually not one of those very expensive benefits to buy. And therefore, when you get a person, a family member passing on, or you have expenses relating to funeral, you can be sorted by insurance up to a limit of, say, 500,000. You can buy much higher limit if you want, but most insurance companies like AR will offer a 50,000 limit, a 100,000 limit, up to 200,000 for last expense. If you are not from some of the communities I wouldn't mention, like mine, then with the 200,000 you have more than enough to give your departed relative a decent send-off, and because that will be able, the cover will be able to pay for the costs of the mortuary, the hearse, all the material, all the equipment required for the send-off for that particular member. So it's an important cover, because it will take care of all. You will not be forced to push people into raising funds. People can still raise funds, but that's just to top up. But then you will not have the pressure of funds to send your relative.
When you think about the Kenyan setup, most cultures, even in families, when you talk about a funeral cover, someone might start saying, now unataka kutulia wazazi, that kind of thinking. So what will it take to help Kenyans come out of that kind of thinking and to see the importance of maybe having a funeral cover?
It's, in my view, awareness. Whereas, and also I come from a culture where we wouldn't. We don't think we'll die. If we die, there's a reason why you have died. So it's just awareness. We need to know the most the very constant thing that can happen to us is we must just end up dying at some point. So if we know that, then we'll invest some income or some money into ensuring there are no expenses that will make the family go bankrupt, to ensure that you are safe. So one is to get a medical cover that will take care of the medical expenses in your hospital, in the hospital. And two is now to take care of the funeral expenses. And if for your information, if you are not careful, you can spend up to $1 million for just funeral expenses, up to 1 million shillings. So, and this can be insured at relatively low premiums annually. And it's just people getting to be aware that you actually can buy the cover. It doesn't mean you'll die tomorrow, because remember, you are paying like 10,000, 5,000, 500 for a benefit of 200,000 or 100,000. It means you need to pay for several years for the insurance to be able to afford that benefit to you. So it's not that when you pay that amount you need to benefit from it immediately, and that's why there is that thinking then you are investing into dying. No, it is just planning ahead, and it's good to plan.
It is good to plan. Well, before we even get to the dying bit, let's talk about the medical cover. Yeah,
it's a hard topic.
Yes. Kenya's most Kenyans, really, there are those who cannot afford, you know, it's not in their priority list because of the lack of income that can cover that. And then now there are those who really don't think it is important and end up bankrupting families when they get sick, especially as they head into old age. How can this be helped, this situation?
First, and maybe I've talked about awareness for long. First, I know there is the challenge of income and the poverty level, but it is also an issue of awareness, because not all insurance is very expensive. There is an assumption that insurance is very expensive, so we can't afford. You can afford insurance the same way you wake up in the morning and take 50 shillings to buy milk. The same way you can pay for insurance. For example, at AIR, there are covers as low as 500 shillings for a year, 400 per year, and I'm not divided to make it per month. And with 400 per year or 500 shillings per year, you'll get some level of cover. It's not as lucrative, but you'll get some level of cover. If you have a sickness and you are admitted and the bill is 78,000, 100,000, you'll find insurance coming in and sorting it out and paying the bill for you. In addition, and that mainly I've talked about the private insurance side. If you come to the universal health or the NHIF, with 500 shillings per month, you also can be able to afford some decent level of cover. So it's just an issue of awareness. Invest into some level of cover, and we find it easy to discard insurance than we say our insurance can wait, we can deal with the other issues first. But it is as important as the primary needs that we have. Yeah.
But most Kenyans, when you tell them that they are only going to get the bare minimum with these 500 shillings,
yes,
they would have to dig way deeper into their pockets to get a better deal, maybe that can cover even these diseases that come with old age.
Yes.
How can the costing of insurance be more favorable to Kenyans?
The costing of insurance can be favorable, and I can say there are some level of favorability in the costing of insurance. Because remember, sometimes insurance is classified into levels. You can get the basic level, and that basic level you can get very good cover within a basic level. And basic level means that you are not going for complicated benefits like chronic conditions at a very high rate, because those are the ones that scale up the pricing. Or two, you can also just do what we call for accidents. Also, accidents are high, and most of them have taken people into poverty. You can take for accident, which the cover is relatively also very cheap. Like at AIR, we have what we call AIR Protect. You can get it at even 10 million cover at a very low rate. But insuring accidents. If you get an accident, then the bills will be paid up to them, the maximum. So it's the costing will depend on what really you want. And then secondly, insurance companies are creating low-end products. They will not be very fancy, but they will take care of all the basic requirements of treatment for any Kenyan. And people should check out for those products. They are available. They are available at AR. Most underwriters have other products that cover people at a very low rate, and you can get reasonable cover.
You can get reasonable cover, so
Yes.
that should not be an excuse for any
There
Kenyan.
shouldn't be an excuse. And it is better you have something than nothing. You know, sometimes if you say, now I'm waiting to get 10,000 to buy a big cover, buy with what you have. Buy the one for 2,000. If you get more income, increase the cover to a much higher level, and with the time you'll have very sufficient cover. And just a precaution for the citizens. First of all, there is no enough cover. Usually, if you have enough cover, it means you have not had, you are okay. The minute you need cover, it is never enough, and there is no less cover. You know, you can have a big cover, but you are not, because you have not used. You cannot say I'm over-insured. Because at the time of need is when that becomes important.
Yes. All right, that is very important. One of the challenges that faces the insurance sector in Kenya is fraud. Yes. And the medical insurance has been flagged, you know, for being one of the highly, you know, this fraud is highly practiced in medical insurance. So just give us an overview of your experience in that, and what can be done to reduce fraud in Kenya's insurance sector.
The problem of fraud is not just a Kenyan problem, it's a global problem. For example, the Association of British Insurers in 2016 released statistics that over 100,000 cases in 2016, over 100,000 claims worth over 1 billion pounds were fraudulent. And the indication was that that is what is known, and what is not known could be equivalent to the same amount. That is an example of globally of how this fraud affects us. In East Africa, it's still a big problem. Fraud is a problem, and specifically in Kenya, estimates, because most of us don't, again, report. You prefer dealing with the issue, and if you report, you know, that's when you have the proper statistics.
By us, you mean the underwriters, right?
Most of us Kenyans,
okay.
not underwriters. Few will report the extreme cases, but we estimate that 25% of each and every claim, insurance claim, is fraudulent. And fraud arises from various levels. At the time of coming on board, the information you gave was not truthful. 100%. There is some information that had gaps at the point of claiming. When you are presenting your claim, the information that is presented has gaps or is exaggerated, or the claim itself is exaggerated, and at various level. It happens at various level, or staff or agents of insurance companies misrepresenting the information around a claim, and you end up paying more than what you should have paid. Even at provider level, maybe knowing this is insurance, you charge slightly more, and when it is private, not insurance, you charge slightly less, and not many, and again, but a few people will take that route. So the experience has been, and I'll give you just one. There's one that we paid in my life, because I've been in insurance for like 20 years. Okay. We paid around 38 million for a cover that we should have paid only 20 million. Because some of this environment or some of the fraud is not easy to prevent or to detect. So you will know, you will think, consciously you think this is not right, this looks fraudulent, but you are locked in there, so you end up paying. So what we've done at AR is to increase the level of training in terms of arresting issues that may be on the borderline, and also technology, use of technology to because we deal with very big data, a lot of data on claims. So we use technology to flag outliers, to look at trends and see that this trend doesn't look normal, then flag it for review. And also included some artificial intelligence, so that things that are normal claims, things that are within normal, passes through, and our staff can focus on the things that may look abnormal, so that they can get whether there is any level of fraud. That's how we deal with it. And at industry level, is collaboration. If we could share data, share trends of new fraud coming up, new methods of fraud coming up, then we'll curb it. And this is what makes insurance premiums high. Because when the claims are high, the insurance premiums will be high. And lastly, for example, last year, 2021, 51 billion was collected in terms of medical insurance premiums, but 75% of that goes into payment of claims, which can be managed. If you, in some countries, around 60, below 60% goes into payment of claims, and therefore makes the premiums much easier when you are pricing. Currently, when we are pricing, then we have to take into account 75% already going out. So then you have to price for the other things, administration and other things with that in mind, making insurance more expensive.
Right. So that brings to the fore the cost of healthcare in the country. And before we even delve into that a little bit more, you mentioned some hospitals or some health service providers, they charge more when someone has insurance. I mean, people have seen their insurance cards being milked, literally, You walk into a hospital, someone who pays on cash basis might even pay 2,000. But because you're on insurance, you end up paying like 8,000 for the same service, same drugs. What is being done to stop this?
First of all, it would be very few, because when I talk to the CEOs of hospitals, they say there's no way we can run two systems where insurance is charged more and private is charged less. But it's again an issue of collaboration, working together with the hospitals and setting rates or standards across various levels of services for each hospital. We have big teams, both at AR and most underwriters have big teams that look through these claims, and where the hospital is, where the premiums are varying, they are able to pick it up. A few cases would happen where the pricing is very high for insurance as opposed to private, but that is mitigated by ensuring that we follow the pricing that we have agreed, which is agreed in advance, and we are able to check, is that pricing being followed or not being followed. Of course, it's one way of controlling the cost, but because also as insurers, and today because I'm alone, I'll have to be balanced. Sometimes we take 30 days, some days to pay. So you'll find pricing for hospitals takes into account the time you take to pay. If you are taking much longer to pay, and somebody is paying right away, then they might get some discount. And you who take 30 days or 60 days to pay, they get a slightly much higher rate, or they might not get the discount on that. So what here we are doing is create an environment where the provider is able to withdraw the cash on treatment within a period they prefer. And if they withdraw immediately, maybe they can pass a discount to us. If they withdraw the money after a certain time, then we lose the opportunity to get the discount. And that's how we partner with providers to ensure the cost of healthcare is brought down. At a national level, maybe we need to look for a way of standardizing costing. It is there, but I don't think it is something that needs to be looked at, to standardize the costings of certain benefits, because you'll find each doctor, each hospital charging different rates, and therefore you can't say they are fraudulent, because this is their rating based on their standard, and some other hospital will charge much lower than others.
Well, it's good that you brought out that point. I mean, you can go to a hospital and meet a doctor, say Dr. Kiptum, charges 2,000 consultation fee.
Yes.
The same doctor, the next hour in another hospital, is charging 5,000 shillings as consultation fee. So what really needs to go into this standardization process, and hasn't it taken too long already?
I think one day we'll achieve it, but if let me talk from insurance perspective, because sure, that's where I have experience.
Yes.
If we came together like insurers and worked closely with the hospitals and the doctors, then we will be able to get some common level of pricing or standard level of pricing. But because we also operate in a disintegrated manner, that creates that opportunity for each doctor, each hospital to charge different rates. But remember, everybody has invested differently. Every hospital, every doctor has invested differently. What I have seen, and I'm not sure how valid it is, the more experienced doctors will charge more consultation than the less experienced. Whether that is ethical or not, I think it's within their profession in terms of ensuring that they charge for the relevant service. So you'll find that it is there. Actually, you'll find triple the price. Some are tripling, some are half, and it just depends on one, the infrastructure, where they are, and maybe the costs that they are incurring, where they have set up their facilities, and what their experience is allowing them to charge.
All right. So that is for the doctors. How about now the service itself?
For the service, we really, I think most try to standardize. Most services they are just in the range of 2,000, 3,000. You will find only specialists. Mostly specialists, and because they are specialists, will have a slightly higher rate for consultation than the doctors in hospitals.
Right. Let us hope that that standardization goes through sooner. I mean, for the sake of Kenyans and everyone else.
Yeah, and it requires some legislative backup and etc. But as insurers, we can come up and be able to work together with the hospitals to arrive at common or standard rates that can be charged across, because we should not compete on payment of expenses. I think at least we can compete on market share.
Yes.
But expenses we can collaborate.
Yes, it's important you've brought out the market share issue. I mean, let's go back to penetration and reaching more Kenyans and bringing them on board in terms of insurance access. What are the ways that the insurance sector is using now to attract more people, and how are they reaching them?
So one of the ways is that increasing awareness among the citizenry to enable them understand or get warm up to medical or to insurance in general. Some of the ways is what we are doing, just talking to the citizens to understand there is insurance, there is medical insurance, and actually medical insurance pays for your claims when you are sick. You know, there are some people who also don't believe that you will pay.
Yes.
So it's the issue of trust. People don't believe you will pay. And I've said out of 51 or so billion collected last year, 75% went into payment of claims. That's around 35 billion. So these are monies that came from insurance companies and paid hospitals or paid members who went to India, who went to the US, who were treated locally for their medical expenses. So insurance and medical specifically will pay for your bills. One of the things about awareness that we need to know is that just be truthful. The issue you find that there is a push and pull between insurers and the client is that the information, there is no asymmetry in information. When you are onboarding, the information you gave and at the time you need to claim is different, and there is some variation in the information which creates then the gap for fraud. So that's one. The other aspect is the products. We need to, as insurers, create, most of us then have without a better word, complex products. Complex, to us we don't see it complex, but complex to the consumer. People who really need a lot of discussions. That's why insurance is mostly sold and not bought. People must come and sit with you, explain to you, this is how it works, these are the benefits, this is how much you pay, so that before you buy, because you can't just walk to a shop and say, okay, give me this insurance and then pay. There must be some level of sitting because of the complexity or the perceived complexity of insurance products. So if we continuously simplify insurance products, then we'll have more people consuming them and increasing our market share and the penetration. For example, at AR, we have very simple products which can be consumed online. We have a product called AR Protect. This is mainly for accidents. You can buy for a day when you are traveling, or for a week, for a month, for a year, and pay as minimal premiums as possible online. And this is very easily accessible. Very simple products. It's accident only. You get to hospital, we either pay you or pay the hospital. Simple. And that's where the direction we need, therefore, to go in simplifying the product so that we can get more people accessing them.
There are quite a number of insurance agents who have to walk around with suitcases to offices, you know, selling insurance, and it feels a bit outdated, this style of selling. What more can the industry do to even access even the young people who are online? I mean, you can use the digital space now to access anyone. So what more can be done?
Yes, and I'll confirm, we have, in Kenya, we have around 10,000 to 12,000 insurance agents without counting professional insurance brokers. That number should not scare you, because other countries have in the range of 300,000 agents. So we are not among
not too high.
It is not too high. So if you have been seeing agents, don't say we have too many, we have too few. So other countries, like in Japan, have more than 300,000 agents, of course, in corresponding to the population. And it's mainly because of the way that element I've talked about, complexity, perceived complexity of insurance products. Even when you want to try to buy online, like today, I urge you to try and purchase. You can do a trial and pay like 400, and you can discuss with me on the refund. When you try to purchase, you'll reach somewhere, you'll start doubting. I need someone to really confirm, so that I hold that person responsible. That's the main thing. People, there's a trust issue, which then insurers, as insurers, we need to work on ensuring that the citizenry trust us in terms of what we say online is what we will give. Most and at AR, I'll talk for AR, we have apps where we are on the online, on digital space, where you can purchase insurance products easily, also launch your claims, check on status, and if there are any issues, you can raise your complaints, seek clarification from there, and you can buy directly from online. So we are increasingly moving into the digital space, and this we were taught by COVID. Before COVID, we had tried working from home and stopped severally. People asked for flexi time, we said no. But when COVID happened, people went home. We took people home without a plan, and we found ourselves moving on.
It still worked.
And with that, we managed to now teach our agents or our salespeople new methods of now having to sell without a physical meeting. Okay, of course, you can still have a meeting, but you do it online. You can make a call, WhatsApp call, present there. Enable them with the Teams solutions. You can make a call, do a presentation, and you get paid. Premium is paid, and insurance continues. So we are moving more and more into the digital space than this physical movement and having to talk to people before they can buy insurance. And once we work also on the simplification of the products, I think the digital space, even for the customer themselves, they'll be able to purchase without needing an agent to interpret what is in there.
Of course, by simplifying.
Yes. Also, from a regulatory point, and the Insurance Regulatory Authority has also been putting in a lot of effort to ensure that there's more awareness in terms of purchase of insurance through the digital space, and encouraging underwriters to ensure that people can purchase through the digital platform. Also in simplifying the documents. Remember, there's a document called policy document, and the regulator has been working with the insurers to ensure that the document is simplified, so that when you get it, you are not also wondering what all the legal jargon in it.
Let's talk about the young people, you know. targeting these young people. They are online. From the lives they live online, they seem to have some income, some disposable income, but they are not using it to buy important things like insurance. Yeah, they are using it to live the good life, so to say. So what can the insurance sector do to attract these people? In simple sense, really make insurance look cool for the young generation.
Yeah, first of all, we are getting into a generation called Alpha. These are people born 2010, and this generation called Alpha, and they are extremely sharp. They are not decision makers. I'll come to the decision makers. I've started with the new one, the newest. These guys are not decision makers, but they influence their parents' decision making. I have interacted with, or I have one who is within that range, and you'll find even now the decision to buy even a car. And this is a young guy, you don't know how he has understood how a good car should be. He's the one guiding you. He has a lot of information. He's telling you, no, now you, Dad, you know, you need to create a garage that has a charger so that you can use to charge your electric car. And at that time, you know, you don't have that thinking of electric car, and the guys have already checked online and they can see. So the most important part about that generation is that they influence decisions for the decision makers. Because if he's the one, if he's your son, your daughter telling you what to do or what you think, and telling you stories about it, and really you start getting interested, what is this they are talking about, and you'll end up being there. Same to insurance. If this generation see in their eyes, insurance is always around them, and then as they grow up, you know, what we have done also, let me go straight. What we've done is not marketed properly to touch that kind of clientele. This generation Alpha. When I come to millennials, I think there are a lot of people doing things on millennials, but we haven't done much on generation Alpha. The motor industry, these guys are doing a lot because through gaming to attract that very young generation to get attached to their products. So what we need to do as insurance for the generation Alpha is create the awareness on their platform, be in their space. Currently we are not in their space. We are still very hard. You know, the sales is a very hard sell. You know, what will happen if you get sick? What if you die? What will happen to the expenses? Who will pay for you? You know, that's a very hard selling. And these are guys who really, well, if we are dead, we are dead. So what? So you need to
live once.
We live once. They say life is for the living. For generation millennial is now actually involving them in product creation. This is a difficult one because then we have to create products that have what we call a short period appeal. Is that short gratification? Insurance, remember, doesn't have any shortness of gratification. And you know, these are guys who want to spend on things that really show value now, not value several days or several months later. So, and most insurances have tried to create that value, but I think it's an area of opportunity we need to work on. At AAR, we have what we call hospital cash, where then you promise some level of cash money. It doesn't need you wait until you are sick, because you know, if you are selling to someone to say wait until you are sick, then you benefit. Although still hospital cash is cash attaching to sickness. When you are sick and you recover, you get some level of cash. So the most important part is how do we create gratification? Immediate, not long range gratification. And several, we tried, a product didn't succeed a lot in Kenya because, you know, there's still the trust issue. As AR, we tried a product where you are paid for not being sick. And not necessarily being paid for being sick. So when you are not sick, we pay you. Okay. We will get some level of money, cash, and we paid a number of people good money when you are not sick, because then we were trying to create immediate or short-term gratification so that we attract that generation.
Interesting. And you say it didn't pick up?
It, you know, there's the trust aspect. You know, I think what may have made it not pick a lot is the trust aspect. In South Africa, it does well. That kind of product is in South Africa and it does well. And remember, the South African environment is a bit also tight in terms of regulation. So it does well in that kind of product, not necessarily copy-paste, but that kind of product with more stricter alignment than what we had done. Ours was easy. You take a year ends, you haven't claimed, you get an X amount of money.
Okay. Interesting. When you want to get the attention of the young people, I think the best direction to take is to train them early, teach them early. So it might fall on the parents to teach them the importance of the way we are teaching our children to save. It's also important to teach them to do insurance as well. What do you think? Yes.
And I'll give you an example. We have a customer who one day they keep the customer out. They had an issue in the house. The mother collapsed, and then we sent our ambulance to pick the lady. We took her to hospital and she recovered. Now that family has been on our cover for over 30 years. The children who saw the ambulance come and pick the mother, that image has never left their head. So to them, if anybody is very sick and needs to be rescued, it is AAR. Because they know they came, they picked my mother, and my mother recovered, and she's okay. So the issue of painting a picture of what insurance can do from early age is very important, because then the children will grow with it. As they reach decision making, like 24 years, 25, they have their own jobs, they will still buy insurance, because they shall have seen the importance of insurance from a young age. And remember, what you see in football, I'm not sure you watch football.
Sometimes.
When the players are getting into the pitch, they come with young children.
Yes.
What they are trying is create that generation succession. They are saying, people must learn what happens in football early age and grow liking the football. That's the same thing we need to do with the insurance and with our children. They need to know the importance of insurance in their lives, in their parents' lives as they grow up. Then now when they become adults, they know already what insurance is all about.
Very important. Teach a child when they are young. They will not forget when they are old.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking with Nixon Shigoli. He is the managing director at AAR Insurance Kenya. And we are talking about matters medical insurance as well as travel insurance, and just what insurance means to you as a person, also as a family. Well, this is BizCheck. We want to take a very quick break. Do get in touch with us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1 at Kiptum is my Twitter handle. Ask your questions, tell us your experience, and we shall be sampling them within this particular program. We take a quick break. When we come back, this conversation continues. Stay with Channel 1.
Better to cry, or your heart will suffocate when you waste good wine.
Rodon left you with Callie, and it broke your heart. You're in love with her, right?
I love...
Say no more.
Hey! Father, he would never collude with the Celestials. Please, don't get angry.
Whatever it takes to... defeat the Celestials.
But you betrayed our kingdom and colluded with Skywall. For the sake of some disciples? Is it death you seek?
Narok County generates huge revenue from the world-famous Masai Mara National Reserve and the agricultural sector. Two candidates, Moitalel Olekenta and Patrick Olentutu, are gearing up for the next governor of this county. What is their agenda for Narok? Don't miss the Narok County gubernatorial debate this Thursday, 2nd of June from Masai Mara University, exclusively on KBC Channel 1 from 9:50 p.m. Mpambe Gibson Gadhu Mbugwa almaarufu prosecutor kwenye kipindi Ukipendacho Vioja Mahakamani kwenye runinga ya KBC Channel 1 anaomba usaidizi wako kudhibiti gharama ya matibabu ya figo. Jamaa na marafiki wameandaa mchango mnamo tarehe 11 mwezi ujao wa 6 kwenye ukumbi wa Charter Hall, jumba la City Hall jijini Nairobi. Waweza kutuma mchango wako kwa paybill number 247247, nambari ya akaunti 777626. Gibson amekuwa mwandani wako na wangu kwa muda usiopungua miaka 40 sasa. Ni zamu yetu nasi tuwe wandani wake wakati huu mgumu.
Thank you for staying with Channel 1. This is Biz Check. My name is Betty Kiptum. In studio, we have Nixon Shigoli, the Managing Director of AAR Insurance Kenya, and we are talking about matters insurance, medical insurance. We've talked about why you need insurance and just what are the challenges ailing the insurance sector in Kenya. One of the challenges that are preventing Kenyans from even accessing insurance is the savings culture that is very low in Kenya. Yeah. What is your take on this? And by the time we are inculcating a savings culture in Kenya, will they be able to afford insurance considering even the cost of living that there is right now?
The savings culture, though I have not picked any specific statistics, but I know from the share of your wallet, I think the share that the savings takes is a very small proportion. When people get their money, actually no one has their own money. You only get money for others. You pay rent, you pay mortgage, you pay for school fees, you pay things, and you are left with the zero. And therefore, that's why you find insurance not finding space within that wallet. So first problem is the income itself. If it is very narrow, then it doesn't find itself into the savings box. The second issue is generally, people should use insurance to make savings. Because remember, when you pay premiums into insurance, you have saved for future expense through insurance. And there are other insurances that will even pay you for there are the investment insurance schemes like unit links that will pay. You can pay in premium for a certain period and get returns after the end of the period. And that the money you will get can be used to purchase other insurance products. So there are a wide range of insurance products. You don't need to save. Most people will save in the bank and they have access to the money. So therefore you have not saved because you have put it there, but you can withdraw. So then, it is not savings. But if you put money in insurance through an investment policy, then that money is there, and if you have agreed for a certain period, if it is 10 years, if it is for school fees, the money will mature at the time your child needs to go to school, and then you use it to pay for school fees. And that is the best avenue to do savings. Because if you save in other avenues, and I'm not saying they are wrong, because of the accessibility to the money, then when you have an emergency, you still go back there, and the money you have saved there for, you find at some point you don't have any savings. So I would encourage people to save through insurance policies. You can go for investment policies, you can go for the normal medical policies, which those ones save you from expenses at the time when you have an emergency. But there are those that will give you plus interest, plus bonuses, and there are various policies that people can buy to save. And for your information, people are buying. In Kenya, we have around, we collect over 130 billion in terms of life policies. Some of those life policies are savings policies, and therefore it is already there. If you are not aware, then you should just check with any insurance company that sells those savings policies, especially the life insurance policy, the unit links, and get a cover that will save for you money. You pay a little amount over time so that you can get it as a lump sum.
Well, from a regulatory perspective, what do you think as an insurer or representing the insurers, what do you think the regulator should do or the policy environment can be improved to better the insurance sector in Kenya?
Yes, and I represent insurance also. I work at, I'm a senior officer at AKI, Insurance Association of Kenya Insurers.
Yes.
I think there's still room for improvement within the Kenyan environment. We've done a lot over time, and we've seen a lot of flexibility. Now there is actually a law on micro insurance that has come into law through the regulator. This one allows now insurers to create, or new entrants to come in and create very low products for the low income citizens, up to the, like, even 40 shillings a day. A product that you can buy at 40 shillings a day, and you're not constrained to pay annually. And this product issued through digital platforms and with very simplified terms. So such has come into place, and I'm sure, I know, there are already several companies have come forward to register as micro insurance underwriters. This will increase the penetration within the insurance industry, because therefore this micro is specifically targeting low income. You can't charge much higher rates than the one defined for low income. If you want to do normal insurance, a premium insurance, premium private insurance, then you do it with a different license. That's an environment already created by insurance regulator, and which we underwriters will take opportunity of, including ourselves. The other aspect that can be worked on is just the aspect of the collaboration between NHIF and in private underwriters, because I think there is an opportunity there to create a very seamless collaboration between the NHIF, the public insurers, public insurance, and private, so that then the citizens can get benefit of both private and public. This opportunity will come in terms of also controlling the level of claims and reduction of fraud, because then people can easily claim from both sides. If that is streamlined, also it can create a very big opportunity for the industry.
Which is very important. And in terms of diversification, what is the industry doing to diversify its products?
Okay, diversification, I'll not take it very technical. I'll take it on
break it down, simplify.
I'll take it on a very basic level.
Yes.
On diversification. I think most insurers are now diversifying. You notice some things, in my view, which would have been hard to insure before are now insured. For example, even in the medical insurance, when COVID started, you remember, most of us went public and said, we'll not cover because this is a pandemic. It's usually not insured. Of course, in the standard rules of insurance, these are not insured. And people came up. We also came up. We developed products and launched products to insure COVID. And that's just to move away from our mentality of the standard things that happen in insurance to going into different environment of insuring. That's one. And you will notice also, for example, now there's drought like in some areas, and you can see livestock dying out of lack of water. You can see there's a lot of, Kenya is an agricultural country, and there is that weather seasons and which can affect crops. And some insurers have come up and are taking advantage of that in a good way to offer farmers insurance for livestock, for such calamities, and for farmers for such seasonality of environment or of the weather. Lastly, there are many aspects. I'm just picking a few here and there.
Yes.
Currently, the most common thing because of working from home, having brought by COVID, is now cybercrime. Now, you can be hacked. Your phone is an avenue for hacking and is an avenue for a lot of problems. And then you'll find in the local market also not very big cyber insurance in Africa, but you can find now in Kenya we have at least 2 underwriters and more will come up to offer insurance for cybercrime. And these are opportunities that are coming, new things, where there are no statistics. Insurance relies a lot on statistics. What is happening? How should we price? Here you are getting into darkness because you don't know. There are no statistics. But we have found people embracing and offering cyber insurance. At AR, we've bought also cyber insurance because we've moved our servers to the cloud, and with moving to the cloud to enable customers access us online, then the risk of cyber insecurity is high, and therefore we get now a local provider to give us cyber insurance. And those are opportunities for diversification, not just the traditional medical insurance, motor. We are big on motor, both private and public, and medical. That is what makes majority, over 60% of the medical premiums, of the general insurance premiums.
Right. It's interesting that you brought the cyber security issue. I mean, according to the Communications Authority, there was quite a spike in
and ensure that we are not holding members' information without consent or unnecessarily. So it's a new area that now underwriters are looking at to ensure. First of all is the insurance aspect of it, and how much information should we ask for from a prospective member, and how long should we stay with it in lieu of the law, and to reduce the risk of any fines arising from the Data Protection Act.
That's pretty important. Let's now talk about travel insurance. Just give us an overview of how it works, first of all.
Now, travel insurance is among the very easy products in my view. I don't know, it's easy. It may be easy to me, but it may not be easy for other people. When you are traveling, when you want to travel to any country, mostly outside Kenya and mostly overseas, you'll find a requirement for travel insurance. And travel insurance, you then just need to state where you are going and how long. So it usually you buy for the period you are away. I'm away and I want travel insurance. You can specify what you want, but they are always standard. Not very, unless you want very enhanced, they're just standard products, and they are very easily purchased online. So you can either go online, you get you put your details, the date you want to travel, the country you are going, and you get a quote. You pay, you get the letter or the certificate to present while you are traveling. So that's how easy it is, and it will cover you for loss of luggage, some level of medical expenses, some if you are kidnapped when you are there, such things, ransom, blah, blah, those things. That's it. It will take care of all those if you have just flight delay or cancellation or whatever. Those challenges you can get while you are traveling or while you are out there. That will be taken care of by a travel cover. It doesn't necessarily come with very big other things, but those are the main ones. Once you have bought you travel, you come back, it lapses. It ends as when you come back. Now, when you want to travel again, you can't use it because remember you have specified.
Yes. The period.
I'm traveling today from this date to this date. Because remember also as insurers, they are trying to know you are in a certain country, they can make a certain arrangements for you when you are there. If they don't know, then you would be there and you get problems and people don't know you are there. So that's how travel would work. Now, if you want to travel again, you go through the same process. You can go through the same insurer, or you can go online, get another one, and buy. For example, at AR, we have our own app. You get into the app, you apply, and you can get the product immediately. And immediately you just apply, you get the quote, you can pay online, and you get the certificate. And on travel, if you want to vary something, you let us know, we vary.
Isn't that one of the classes that you can maybe target the young people?
Yes, I think this one does not discriminate on the generation, because if you are traveling, and you need insurance. So because I'm not sure whether the statistics show many of the young people are the ones that travel a lot.
They are living the soft life.
But yes, anybody who is traveling, then is the opportunity. We are trying to create also travel insurance locally within Kenya. You are leaving Nairobi, you are going to Kisumu, you are going to Mombasa. Should you have some level of travel insurance, either for the day or for the week or for the... So there is inland travel insurance, and of course there is the outbound. So this inward looking, I think, may get a lot of that generation into the bracket, because then they travel a lot and they might require insurance here and there.
Well, that is something to definitely look into.
Yes.
Well,
but travel insurance is a very, and people buy it because it's compulsory at some point, because you'll get it as a requirement for travel. But if people were to create it as a necessity for any travel, then you'll get a lot of demand. Currently, it constitutes around 2 to 3% of the total premiums collected in Kenya would come from travel insurance. So but majority of the covers are just medical and motor.
If you were to maybe look at it in terms of the inland cover, how about partnering with maybe local travel companies such that cost is covered in the the package that they give?
Yes. First, that's how it works. Some of the travel companies that are known will always have it as part of the package.
Right.
You'll hear, if you are coming in and you want to move around Masai Mara, you'll find that as part of the package insurance or travel insurance. If you are going, say, to Dubai, you'll find it from your travel agent. They include the travel insurance. So most underwriters, the avenue they use is the digital one, and then travel insurance, because then you are connecting with the people who are talking to the travelers. So you're able to get more market by having the travel insurers within your partners. Yeah.
Oh, very important. So as we come to a close of this conversation, Nixon, could you just give us your closing remarks and maybe the way forward or the outlook for the future of the industry?
Personally, I am confident that the insurance industry is going to is one of the avenues that will build our GDP in Kenya. Because if you look at the premiums that are collected and what they go into doing, they help in generating more revenue within the country. And remember, for us to reduce the level of poverty, insurance is another very good avenue, because most people are thrown off balance, sell their property because of just a medical bill that has come up and wiped all their income. So if you embrace and you buy insurance cover, especially like for medical, motor is there is some compulsory aspect to it.
You have to have it, yes.
But for medical, it's voluntary. I'm sure what is being done by the government around universal healthcare with the NHIF will also encourage more people to buy insurance, and we will see the penetration of the country moving higher. to the higher of 5%. That's what I would predict in the next like 5 years. We'll see the penetration moving to like 5%. Assuming, the penetration is a measure against the GDP. So if GDP grows faster than insurance, then it will continue being low, even if your revenues are growing. So it's to grow the revenues for insurance at a much higher rate than the GDP is growing, so that you have a very good penetration rate. But having said that, we also are not very far. We are among the top. Kenya is among the top countries in terms of penetration within Africa. But then we are top with a very small percentage. That's why we must work very hard. We shouldn't be complacent. We must move that percentage higher.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nixon, for joining us.
Thank you too.
I have been speaking with Nixon Shigoli, the Managing Director of AAR Insurance Kenya. We've talked quite a lot about insurance, the medical insurance, the travel insurance, and just how to target various groups of the population, and just how to ensure that diversification is happening and the industry is growing. This is BizCheck. We shall be taking a quick break. When we come back, a conversation about avocado export. Do stay with us.
Better to cry, or your heart will suffocate when you waste good wine.
Rodo left you with Callie, and he broke your heart. You're in love with her, right?
I love.
Say no more. Hey!
Father, he would never collude with the Celestials. Please, don't get angry.
Whatever it takes to defeat the Celestials.
But you betrayed our kingdom and colluded with Skywall. For the sake of some disciples? Is it death you seek?
Hiyo gari ni yangu. Gari ni yangu.
Gari ni ya mdosi wangu.
Mimi ndio niliangusha gari.
Sasa ni maswali gani unaniuliza?
Mimi ni tanipoi wako?
Hapana.
Very good. Wewe kwa nini unaendesha gari bila license?
Wewe ni traffic.
Wewe ni traffic.
Na kuuliza wewe ni traffic.
Hakuna kusaidia, mlisaidia. Kwanza kitu inaniuma ni ati mtu anaenda kukufa, mnachukua pesa yake na simu. Mnataka huko aende aongee na ancestors na pesa gani? Na simu gani?
Wewe lori yako ilianguka?
Mimi sina lori.
Na nakuuliza chakula kula mbali uliletewa kwa nyumba yako? Hakuna, si ndio? Then walk out. Mzee, umeeleza mahakama ulipata kama lori imepinduka, si ni kweli?
Ndio babu.
Mimi papu yako. Mimi papu yako.
Sindio? Sasa wewe mzee, wewe na huyu nani mzee?
Wayuni. Umeingiaje?
Nimefanya hivi.
Ndio sababu kila mtu siku hizi anaingia vile anataka, si ndio?
Nikuweke hapa ama pale nje niko na mbe wako Jonte.
Coffee iko ready na sija-invitiwa.
Actually, I'm not in the mood for breakfast.
Babe, mbona umejam?
Jonte, what do you really want with your life?
Jinaona tuchange topic manzi, imeanza kuwa serious sana.
I made the wrong choice.
Definitely. Anangoja kubonda mali ya babako. Amekwambia shida ni nini?
No, but he makes it sound urgent.
Well, it might be.
So tunatoka sahi?
Twende. Lakini Gren, washa tu tukoje tu kidogo.
You don't mix your personal issues with work. I thought your father taught you better.
Did he?
From Japan to Philadelphia, the fire rises.
Oh, come on! Contra from behind! Preventing Los Parks from enjoying this.
Let's go.
David Boy Smith Jr. and the rest is history.
You competed with that injured shoulder. The shoulder was popped out of the socket. Oh, certainly, made the finals, but
LA Park. Eagle de LA Park. Tonight,
differently.
Naona kama I'm ever succeeding and always hata mahali tumekaa Kibera. Kuka hapo venye nimekaa imenisaidia kulana lot. Now I can do or I'm doing what a normal woman mwenye akona mguu yote mwenye naweza kimbia naweza fanya chochote cannot do.
They always think either you were raped, this was a forced sex that got you into pregnancy, because you were not supposed to, according to the standards that have been set by the society.
We're differently abled, differently.
Hello and thank you for staying with Channel 1. This is BizCheck and we are now in the second hour of the program. My name is Betty Kiptum. In this second hour, we want to discuss matters avocado exports, banana exports, capsicum exports, matters agriculture. And to discuss this is Okisegere Ojepat, the Chief Executive Officer of Fresh Produce Consortium. Thank you for coming and it's always a pleasure.
Thank you. Nice to see you after a long time.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Let's just start with the fact that Kenya is Africa's second largest avocado growing and exporting country. And avocado is Kenya's leading fruit export, representing about 17% of total horticultural exports. Yeah. Europe and Middle East are our biggest markets in terms of avocado exports, but we have a problem, don't we?
I don't want to call it a problem. First, I need to make a correction.
Go ahead.
Kenya is not the second. Kenya is the first.
All right. We took that number. All right.
We overtook South Africa 2 years ago, and we're in an upward trajectory, and which is a good thing to be number one, but it's a better thing to maintain being number one.
Yes.
And this is attributed to so many factors, and the biggest is basically our weather. I will not say we have a problem, but I will say we have a challenge. There's normally challenge to manage growth, and there's challenge to manage partners and trading partners in this case. We are in a situation in a season where most of our avocados, particularly a variety called Fuerte, we have sold it to traditionally about 98% to Russia. And because of the challenges that we have in Russia and Ukraine, there's been less orders for obvious reasons. Access to that market has been a challenge. So seeking alternatives, unlike something that would just be domestic, seeking alternative would be better. The fruit is getting mature. We also have increased production in the country, and seeking those alternatives in other places that require that we go through certain policies, procedures, particularly the agreements between our country and them on phytosanitary matters, takes a little longer. The second thing is, the second challenge we have is that we have not really, as a country, been able to collect data in terms of census of what we have, because many Kenyans went and planted orchards and never disclosed they have those orchards. So we now come here and find that we have orchards that are ready that we had not budgeted for. So we are meeting two challenges in the marketplace. We have a good fruit, which is a good thing, that we are able to produce more, but we have a challenge because we did not prepare sufficiently for those volumes for non-disclosure of most growers, particularly the middle and the smallholder. And a few middle-class people, Kenyans, who have learned. If you go, let me take an example of what's in Gishu, Trans Nzoia, Bungoma, Nandi, where people planted and kept quiet. So now they are ready for the market, and we had not planned for those volumes. So we are now faced with a challenge of quickly turning around and pushing those products to the marketplace, and that market was not ready. So you see, it then compromises the pricing, because then you need to sell, and the market then will tell you, I want to absorb, but I can only absorb it at a lower cost. And then, of course, our Russian market, when challenges that are there happened, what have we done? It then means that we have to find an alternative market quickly. Unlike bread, unlike clothes, unlike bread in Kenya, where you say, if you can't sell on one side, stop production, we will produce tomorrow. We can't do that here, because this is a fruit that is already it's already fruit. When it starts maturing, it matures in stages. So it means you have a season of about 4 months of a fruit that you now must take care of. So that's where we're standing. And then we're also then standing at a point where in the recent previously, we had some of our people were not very disciplined when it comes to quality aspects of the fruit. So there's a bit of a mixed reaction in the market that Kenyans are exporting fruits that are good quality, but sometimes a mixed quality of the ripe and semi-ripe, and that compromises our image in the marketplace. So what we've done in the recent past is really engaged with our trading partners and agreed with them. One, when we engaged with EU, the EU told us the dry matter is their challenge. So now we have agreed as an industry that the dry matter for avocado out of Kenya will be 24%, and not anything lower than that. Before, we will sell up to 19. Some people will even insist on 18, 20, but now we've pushed it and we've said the market wants at 24 and above. Let's give them 24 and above, because they're the bulk of our buyers. Secondly, we've also then told the Middle East that we have fruit. The unfortunate bit is that then I think we do not understand the language. Most of our exporters do not understand the language of the buyers out there, particularly in UAE, where we have buyers who have placed orders, but the buyers did not pay on time, or they have not paid, which is also a challenge. Is that let me call it, is a two-way challenge. One, I have no idea why Kenyans sell fruits and vegetable out without getting deposits, payment of at least 70 plus. Just like if I went to Japan today and I wanted to import a car, they will insist that I pay 100%. We carelessly became either extraordinarily generous, or we proved that we have muscle to be able to send cargo and wait for payment 14 to 60 days based on which market, which that goodwill has been abused by the market. Particularly if you go to the UAE, they have imported a lot out of Kenya, but they have been unable to pay. And some of the people who have been importing, actually, exporters did not do due diligence to allow them to get to know who they are giving credit, because for me that's credit you're giving in terms of produce. So we however have been very vibrant in being out in the market, told the market what we have, given them statistics over and above what we expected to have, and we're now saying, listen, please, Kenyan fruits are here, please buy them. It's a bit slow, but I hope it picks up. But our prayer is that other non-traditional markets like India, that we just need a little political goodwill for them to open the market, because KFIS has done what they needed to do, the industry has done what we needed to do, but we just need a little political goodwill for India to open that market. So if India opens their market like now, we will be able to deal with it. However, we must also then be able to say, can we do due diligence of the men and women, the businesses that are buying produce from us? Secondly, can we agree as a country that instead of giving people credit, let's agree on the terms of payment? If I must advance you my produce. Then I must be having a relationship with you. We are currently telling the exporters, then there must be a contractual obligation between you and the other person, because you're not trading 2 shillings, you're trading in millions. One container, for example, will cost you an average of 3 to 4 million shillings to load it, a 40-foot container, depending on the season and the variety you have. And of course, we have certain areas where I know people have been talking about China, where China has been changing, for lack of a better term, their phytosanitary requirements for us to access the market. First, they told us we must have them frozen. Now they're telling us we must have them treated. The kind of treatment they want us to treat them at 21 degrees centigrade. Get them into a refrigerated container. And normally we transport our avocado at 4 degrees so that it's able to get to the market before it matures. Are we getting it? So, and then we had not prepared for this. So I know that there are 2-3 institutions that are busy putting together post-harvest treatment for avocado, and Kakuzi is doing some trial, but of course Kakuzi have their own plantation. So we need a common user facility to focus on this. So those are certain things that we have, but the good news is that our name is now known out there as a country that has good quality avocado, and we have a longer window as compared to our competitors in Peru, Mexico, who come in a little window and get out of the market. We stay in longer. And in fact, going forward, I don't think the closing and the opening of the season will hold because of the weather patterns in the country. In Western region is raining and the Eastern region is dry. You expect that the maturity of the fruits within the country will mature at different stages. Of course, we'll have a high moment, but I do not think over time that we will sustain the business of closing. We just need to be disciplined. And as I said earlier, our biggest challenge today is to put together statistics of what we have planted as a country, what is coming into production at any given time. And in fact, in the market last month, the market challenged us and told us, please tell us what you have so that they can put Kenya on the map and with clear statistics of what we have. That is something that we've started putting together. It's not a one-off thing, because then avocado is planted by a smallholder and you are not in control of their plantations. Of course, accessibility. And you need resources to really collect that data, be able to collect it, and be able to make business sense in terms of using that for negotiating or engaging with the market. And the other thing that I must say here is that as a country, we must get disciplined. I know we are using service providers like brokers, whom I keep saying should be properly governed, and the governance structure within the system should be clear, and we must sort out the issues of transportation. Out there, the other parts of the world do not transport avocado the way we transport. We transport them rudely, in a bad way. And I always say, if I go to buy meat, if I look at somebody who's selling meat and meat products, they have a specific container, a written meat, and you can tell whether it's a motorbike or a vehicle, right? When it comes to avocado, we dump them on pickups. Some of the people shake the tree. The fruits fall on the ground, right? Then you pick the fruits, put them on an open pickup, push them out from the open pickup to the marketplace. So there's a lot of damage in terms of quality that's compromised if we do not handle well. So what we've now agreed, and I know we agreed with the regulator, a letter was sent out. Industry now is working on ensuring that we do not shake the tree. We harvest we pick the right fruit, we transport them on washable, good transport facility in terms of tracking it. So we're able to get a good fruit that we harvested from a farmer into the market, all right, maintaining the same quality, getting it to cold chain, package it, and transport it either by sea or by air, based on the destination, without having to compromise that quality. Last but not least on that is that when we're in the market out there has changed the way they do things. For example, If you go to France today, they get a whole container, they put it in a ripening chamber. Meaning, when your fruits are put in a ripening chamber, they need to ripen within, it's set within a specific temperatures for a period of time, closed out. It could be 2 hours, could be 3 hours, but that moment of time. If you have a mix of different product quality that you packed in that container, what do you expect? That certain fruits will have met the specification or the requirement of the ripening conditions. But surely, most of them, if they did not meet the quality, will come out either unripe or rotten. Yeah. Are you getting it? So it's now on us as a country to get disciplined, to get to know that quality is not always anything you want to play around with. Don't mix. Let's agree. Let's nurture this industry. And we are growing.
Yes, we are growing.
So that's what I can say at the moment.
Okay.
The future is big. We're engaging with EU. We have engaged with all countries. We're engaging now with UAE. We're engaging with Saudi Arabia. We're engaging with Oman. We currently also engaging with unfamiliar countries like Kazakhstan, who are basically able to get our product, and those non-traditional markets. And of course, the tail end where we are, we're just at a point where we get into China, into India, and I think the future can only be bigger and brighter.
The future can only be bigger. Quite a number of issues that you've brought up, and of course, it's good news you're saying that we are growing and we are at the top. We need to maintain that position. Last year, there was a ban that we placed on ourselves, the export ban in November 2021. By January, it was now extended indefinitely. How is that going? And it was a ban on the Fuerte and Hass varieties.
I want to change the word. There is nowhere we have banned.
Okay.
I insist.
Okay.
Because at least I sit in the decision-making table when it comes to the restriction. Let me use the word restriction. What we do is ordinarily in the past, Kenya has had certain regions produce avocado. Okay. And it was mostly Murang'a, Meru, Central Kenya. The rain patterns, the weather conditions are clearly known. So we will close and restrict exports from about 15th of November, around about November up to 15th, and this will stretch up to either January or mid-February, because the fruits are coming from traditionally one region. Okay? Now, the fruits come from non-traditional areas. For example, if you drove from here to Western to Malaba, or drove from here to Loitoktok, or drove from here to Kitale, and now, the other day I had gone to Garissa, and people in Garissa asking me, can we plant avocado? It's that interesting. So the fruits then mature in different stages. Of course, you'll have more at different times. So what we did last year was to restrict the exports by sea and pulled the export, restricted it to by air. We still were able to allow those that had orchards and they could demonstrate that their fruits are mature. Inspection was done and they took the fruits to the market, right? And then also, the other thing that we did then was to say, which one is better? Do we sell the fruit to the market, the fruit that is mature, or do we sell fruits for purposes of selling? So what we needed to do was to sell mature, which I insist even today, that we sell mature fruits of the right size to the marketplace. So what we did with that restriction, why it was extended, is therefore the regulator here, HCD, Horticulture Crops Directorate, will send the inspectors to the field, different parts of the country, to assess what I called earlier the dry matter.
Okay.
Once we ascertain that the dry matter across the board is within what we have agreed as a country, then we will allow exports to take place. Unfortunately, why it was extended is because after this check and the survey sampling both the high region and the low region, we have something we call the T-zone. Once we said we have to go through that, the next thing then we did was looked at the statistics and realized we still had not attained the dry matter required. What then leads to that is extend the period for a while. Unfortunately, why you had a bit of cry is normally that specific time of restriction. Even our competitors are not in the market.
Okay.
And so, for lack of a better term, people want to make money when there's a window to make money. But you can't make money when the fruits are immature because it also taints the image
of
the country. And you know, one interception or notification is not on the farmer, it's on the country. And it goes into the global statistics of how you perform as a country. Are we together? So we have to get that done. So that's where we are. So we have never, and I do not think we are going to ban, we only restricted. Even now, if your orchard is not confirmed to have attained the required dry matter content, you will be asked not to export, but to hold on until you attain that dry matter. Then once you attain it, you are allowed to go to the market. That's the best practice that we need to have. And I think as a country, we are either greedy or gluttonous, or we are just quick to look for money, and sometimes we don't really think about the future. Patience is a virtue, and patience will help us to get to the market with the right fruit. And discipline is clear, because by the end of the day, how much do you need? You need money today, or do you need something that gives you money consistently? Build a name. We have to change the way we do things. The fruit is here with us. It's going nowhere. Get it mature. It's your fruit. Of course, unfortunately, the other day I heard people talk about unfortunate statements made by people saying that now we guard our fruits using the police or guns. That's unfair. It's not happening here. That's wrong. Nobody is stealing. And I keep telling people, if there's somebody who steals, I don't think the security organs in this country are that weak. We can narrow down to those people. So let's not allow a few individuals who have their own malicious agenda to spoil this industry. I can tell you, Betty, the number of fruits that we have in this country today are 3 times more than what we had in 2015.
That's big.
What are we talking about? We're talking about tripling or even going 4 times the production of avocado that we had in 2015. So this calls for proper discipline, proper engagement, and proper marketing, both at the private sector level and at the government level, in terms of what are we packaging as a country. What is need for us as Kenya? What is Kenya as far as quality, as far as consistency, as far as logistics are concerned? Because we're now suffering on the logistical cost. We are suffering in terms of the inconsistency of how we get to the market, and thus the need for us to have specific statistics and allow this industry to grow. And of course, for those who are busy planting, and I know the president made a comment on avocado yesterday, and coming from that office, many people are going to plant fruits. My encouragement is simple. Go plant fruits, but please confirm the source of your planting material.
And how are farmers supposed to do this? Because to maintain a certain quality, especially among the smallholder farmers, there is need for information, to reach them, and also to just ensure that even their practice is somehow the same in a way, so that quality is maintained. How is this being done?
If you recall, I did say that this is when we need to work, both the private sector and the government institution, and particularly the devolved units, in ensuring that good and best practices are followed. What we've done from the private sector is ensure that all export companies contract the outgrowers and send out what we call a technical team. Others will call them technical assistants, others will call them agronomists, basically experts in the agriculture sector that can be able to go out and train. And we have training. As an institution, for example, we're busy training and telling people what needs to be done, and including the source of the seedlings. And we're partnering with KFIS, we're partnering with HCD in ensuring that the plant health issues are dealt with well and the production issues are dealt with well. So what I need to encourage, and what I would like to encourage smallholder, is for ease of administration, let them join farmer groups and cooperatives, so it's easier to reach to them. For those who have big farms, tracts of acreage, they can also afford to call or hire a technical person. But for smallholder that are the majority in Kenya, I encourage them to form farmer groups and cooperative society. Then if they talk to us or talk to the next office of HCD or the ministry office, they will be linked up to us. Then we're able to get tailor-made trainings that work with them, that support them to get to the next level. But just like any other investment, people must be clear from day one, what am I investing, why am I investing, and where am I going to? Because it's not about today, it's about the future of this industry. And I also encourage those who have resources to be able to get into processing, because we can also get our oil. I know there are those who are doing juices. I know there are those who are now looking at, particularly the pharmaceutical world. Of course, for the beauty world, I know ladies, and with all due respect to them, this is when people are now talking about plant products, natural products, and for your skin. I think this is where we need to be going. So we need a few investors towards that direction, even as others are focusing on fresh. Let others focus on juices so that we take advantage of making use of the whole fruit. I don't know whether you know that out of the fruits we have, we only export 10% of our production. Some of it goes into processing, of course. Some of it goes into waste. Some of it, if you go to some villages, people say, ata umbat wanakula avocado, which is good, but there are better ways to process and make use of all the fruits. In other countries, they're on an average of 60, I think 56, 46 and above. We're still on an average 10%. You can imagine, even from the current production we have, if we only worked on it and ensure that we qualify the quality, we'll already be talking about double or triple the volumes that we export today. But out there, our fruit has good taste. I mean, we grow it naturally, mostly under the sun, and I keep telling people we are almost 99 to 100% pesticide free, basically organic, and we have so many organic certified farms. So if we are able to go through that, really, why don't we appreciate God by doing a good job that He's given us good weather that others don't have, because we are the only country that can produce 365 days of the year of any kind of fruits and vegetable. Yeah, and we can also tweak. For those who are doing irrigation, you can even slow down. You can actually reduce. You can change the cycle of your fruit. When it's flowering, you just go back and prune. Then you delay the fruiting. Then your fruits get into the market when other people are not in the market. So these are all available options that will allow us to navigate.
Right, that is very important, and I think it's quite a resource that we need to tap. Let's talk about the cargo space. I mean, the other day some flights were launched. They'll start, I think, in some mid-June from Kisumu to the UK. And of course, this is a big win for the sector. Could you please comment on that?
Not were launched. I think we already started exports out of Kisumu.
Yes.
With KQ.
Yes, extra flights.
But what we're basically saying is that the people within that region have one challenge. The exporters can export from any part. But the people within that region, particularly the county governments, must then be able to encourage the farmers to produce, help them to form aggregation centers. and allow the exporters to find a place to engage with the smallholder farmers. We currently have facing a situation in Kisumu, in Nyanza region. There's a lot of excitement, but very few people are in production. And if they're in production, they're not properly structured in terms of their governance. So the farmers that are there, a few members that we have, including the flower members within Kericho and fruits and vegetable members, Kericho, going Kisii, and that Lake region area, the economic bloc, have now decided, a few farmers have decided to come together, and there's enough of work now going on, and that's why we now want to ensure that we get back with the pineapple, with passion fruit, with chilies from that region, so that we can resume that export out of that place, because it's a wasted resource. Why do you have to track cargo from Siaya to JKIA when you can ship it out of Kisumu? Why do you have to track cargo from Eldoret, from Kericho with traffic to JKIA when you can go down to Kisumu? Why do you have to get your avocados out of Kisii to Nairobi when you can go to Kisumu? Why do you, and then we're not just looking at Kisumu as an airport for Kenya, but look at where it's positioned. We have Tanzania and we have Uganda. So the East African community can actually converge within Kisumu and ship it up from there. So we now have working with targeted exporters for pineapple, chilies, a bit of pineapple, passion fruit, and avocado. Lift their cargo out of Kisumu straight to UK, but it could still come via Nairobi, and then it's added if we are not able to get sufficient cargo. So the airlines in this country have no problem. The problem is the business people and the growers that must then consolidate products within a specific area. The airport can have facilities, but those facilities will be of no use if the locals cannot work it. And for the people in Nyanza region, for example, and Western region, and people in Rift Valley, North Rift, I think this is a time to forget this personal, what I would call individual interest, and put the interest together. We have an airport in Eldoret, we have an airport in Kisumu, but we still have cargo coming out of Kitale to Nairobi, leaving an international airport in Kisumu, in Eldoret, leaving an international airport in Kisumu. If you don't want to go to Kisumu, go to Eldoret. If you don't want to go to Eldoret, go to Kisumu. Why do you have to come to Nairobi? Spending your 8 hours because you have to move at a certain speed. And sometimes, you know what happens around Gilgil, out of Nakuru into Nairobi with traffic. And sometimes you're stuck there for a whole day. So which one is better? Get your products to the market within 24 hours. Go to the next airport. We will support, and we are supporting. So the airlines are ready. It is the people. And then also for the exporters, I keep saying people, listen, who said exporters are all in Nairobi? Kisumu, Eldoret, Mombasa can raise exporters. Any Kenyan can be an exporter. Any Kenyan can be an exporter. There's nowhere there's a tag that specific people can be exporters. So my encouragement here is that the business people in Kisumu, business people in the Lake region, the ones in North Rift, must then ask themselves, what do they require to be an exporter? Then we'll support them. Yeah, so we have space, airlines ready. We have a challenge of consistent supply of cargo into Kisumu, into Eldoret, and into Mombasa. We are all still traditionally looking at Nairobi and putting too much pressure. Nairobi, let me give an example. For example, if you go to Kisumu, you can actually negotiate a rate better than Nairobi. If you go to Mombasa, you can negotiate a better rate in Mombasa than Nairobi. You can negotiate a better rate out of Eldoret than Nairobi. It's easier. The airlines are willing to say, let's sit together, because for them, it's also a growth strategy of pulling it out of there. And there's less challenges in terms of handling costs, including the clearing agents. So the cost in Nairobi, you could save, even if you save 10 cents of $1, times 10 tons every time you have a shipment, there's so much you can save. So I'm encouraging people to engage in dialogue so that we can move forward and forget about this unnecessary excitement or emotional things and be factual. The business has to continue even after I know many people are talking about the election. It's 60 days, my dear. It will get finished. Once this is done, what you do? You're not going to be emotionally running here. There are people who will forget, and there are people who must continue business. So there is opportunity for logistics. And now what we're also doing is taking advantage of engaging the combination of the air, the railway, and water. So we're talking of trucking cargo out of certain regions, like for avocado, instead of going by truck to Mombasa, we like it to go by railway into Mombasa. It saves time, it's efficient, and better can tell you here today, we have about 1,800 containers coming out of Mombasa every day, but we have almost nothing going back. So the containers are going back empty. So that means we can negotiate a good rate as those containers are going back. So there's trials going on with Kenya Railways now to ensure that certain locomotives that they're using, we have a refrigeration, a connection point to ensure that we get a cold chain infrastructure within the railway station, within the railway infrastructure, to allow our cargo to go down, because 95% of our avocado is exported by sea because of the bulk. So why not take advantage of the available infrastructure?
Those are very important pointers. Could you just give us an outlook of how the banana export industry is looking right now?
We have been lazy.
Okay.
I think when people thought of avocado, everybody went to avocado. This week on Monday, we launched, as an institution, we launched a digital marketing strategy, and we now marketing digitally. We want to reach as many people as possible, and we just want to encourage again growers to come out, form farmer groups and cooperatives, find a point where we can engage. Then the exporters or traders will then find a reason to get there. Sadly, last year we only exported worth 3.4 million Kenya shillings of bananas. Unlike avocado, which I spoke a little earlier, we had we traded 16.6 billion, and for avocado, for banana it was only 3.4 million. Are you getting it? Which you almost want to ask yourself, why are we doing this? And yet, globally, bananas are consumed more than avocado. I'm sure even you, unless otherwise, if you walk around, you'll see more bananas on the roadside being sold, in the market being sold, more than avocado. So I think we've just been lazy as a country, and we have something I call copy-paste. If I'm working on avocado, everybody wants to export avocado. Then we compromise the quality, we start undercutting, you go paying less, you go enticing the market with lesser prices. So what was sold at $5 comes to 4.5. You call it competition, but which competition? There's no competition between a Kenyan and a Kenyan. The competition be between a Kenyan and somebody from Mexico. You know, now that is competition. But if it's a competition between two Kenyans, that becomes childish and very irresponsible of us. Instead of saying, how do we work together, bulk together, aggregate together, and have a better bargaining power? And speak with one tone for once. We have selfish people who, as long as it works for me, I don't care. But what happens tomorrow? We have a population in Kenya of youthful people that need to get employed, and can only be employed if they get involved in this industry, including but not limited to the platforms and logistics. And there's so much you can do within the value chain. So let's open up space, let's aggregate and consolidate, and let's start talking and building volumes together. Then we go to the market with one voice. Then we're able to speak and say, this is what Kenya said. But as long as I go with this one, and then somebody else comes and say, oh, I'll give you at $4, and somebody was offering 4.5, the next one 4.39. I mean, what are we doing?
We're just hurting
Can
ourselves.
I tell you, if you went to South Africa today, there are competitors in other areas. If you ask the South African how much are apples out of South Africa, there's a bare minimum price. There's a minimum price that they cannot go below. We do not have a minimum price. I know we keep saying the minimum price in we are this liberalization, or you know, the constitution. This, some of these things are killing us.
And whose responsibility is that?
It's a Kenyan responsibility. It has nothing to, because government said business is liberal. So if the industry does not does not sit down and say certain things, we must sit together and say, though there's a window here, what in it for us as a country? Can we agree we are not going to sell any avocado out of this country below this rate? I mean, what is, am I breaking the law? No. We have just said as a country, this is what we've agreed, this is the bare minimum. Take it or leave it. Will you go to Japan and import a vehicle and tell them now you sell for me at 100,000 shillings less than the other person, as if there's no cost of production? You work out your costing and you agree, first of all, our costing is this much. The margins are going to be 30%, 20%, 10%, whatever. But let's not sell anything below this. This is what is killing us. Sometimes I ask myself, are we all genuinely in this business? Or could other people be doing business elsewhere, but they're bringing money here for the sake of... You know, it's questions that I keep asking. Because this is what confronts me every day. This is what confronts me every day. We just came from Italy. Italians are paying better than some parts of Europe. But we still don't want to go there. We're still busy undercutting, even with those ones who are offering you a higher price. So that's kind of conversation we have. So we have an opportunity, it's up to us to engage.
It's up to us to engage. And what will it take for Kenyans to, maybe it's a mentality that has been created that it's time to do avocado now. So people moved away from the banana bit of it. What will it take to get more farmers there?
Farmers are there. It is the way we have engaged, particularly the traders. Because if I go to a Kulima market from here, I'll get a lot of bananas more than avocado. If I go to Muranga, I get more bananas than avocado. We just want to be deliberate in engaging the market. We engaged with Korea. Korean said, listen, bring us your bananas you have, we will sell. How many exporters have come to me asking to sell bananas? I think 7. After that, the rest of the country went down. And it went in the papers, oh, there's banana in the market, there's Korea market. After that, nobody engaged. You know, there's one thing government can do, and I keep telling people, sometimes we blame government. Once the protocols have been set, it is not the business of government to engage in business. It's a business of business people to now go into business to business. But if the business people decide they want to go to avocado because it looks like an easier sell, look at what we're struggling with. All of us went to avocado. And not knowing that a country called Kenya has so much variety in terms of a basket with bananas, our pineapple, our passion fruit, our mangoes, we have literally everything we require. So the laziness we have in this country is what I call copy-paste. Instead of saying, how do we diversify? So I encourage growers, and I encourage particularly traders, because growers have no problem. It is the businessmen in this country that need to say, I will want to venture into banana. What do I need to do? Please come. We are available to guide you in seeing how the banana goes. Because Korea has opened, and our ambassador there has been very aggressive. She's really opened business for us, and she's opened opportunities for us. But after opening the door, so what? She can't force you to walk through the door. Our mission will not allow you to walk through the door. I will force you to walk through the door.
Yes.
The door is open. Please walk in. So business people, there is opportunity for us to do business in a banana. Did you know, in my own opinion, did you know today, and I'll tell you this, did you know today the banana is the most cleanest fruit that you can eat? Because you must peel. You peel before you eat the banana. Every other fruit you must touch you must touch the skin, cut through the skin. But for the banana, you peel it up. So I encourage everyone, even locally. I don't know why people don't eat bananas. The only thing I see, the only bad culture I see people doing with bananas is peel it and throw the peels through the window. Instead of saying, what do we do? Because even those peels that you throw through the window can still be put into good use. So what I'm here to say is that this market for banana, this market for avocado, this market for our passion fruit, this market for our mangoes, but let's rise up. Let's engage. Let the business people wake up and say, what can I do? And let's stop lazing, and let's stop unnecessary, what I call unnecessary competition within the country. We are not competing among Kenyans. We are not even competing among East African community people. We are competing with the other giants. If you go to Chile, if you go to Costa Rica, and you see the way they're producing their bananas, even China, even India, the way they're producing for those areas that produce, you will be, I mean, it's being done very well. So and then we have an opportunity. Philippines, that supplies a lot of bananas, have a disease, a virus disease that is sweeping away their bananas. So if we can take advantage, we will fill in so much, because many countries, including Korea, banned bananas from Philippines because of the virus. So what does that mean to us?
There's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's us to fill in that gap. But if you don't fill up that gap, somebody else will.
Yes.
I don't know whether you've gone out there and tested their bananas. You're like, excuse me, I thought we had bananas, because they're tasteless. But our bananas are sweet, they're nice. So we have an opportunity. All we are doing now is branding, labeling, and showing traceability, and showing that we produce our bananas in a very good way, and that we are accountable, and we can take you through the journey. That's what we are doing for bananas.
Right. Before we close this conversation, allow me to ask a question about capsicum.
Yes.
The capsicum pest invasion, it reduced from 16 to about 4%.
Yeah.
Has this impacted the inspection rate of our capsicum in the international market?
Once you have a quarantine pest, like we do, there has been listed as a quarantine by your market, which is FCM. It's a quarantine pest in EU. And for that reason, any chili that comes out of Kenya will, for sure, whether you have 4% or you have 16%, will for sure continue going through the normal inspection until such a time the trading partners will put statistics on the table and say, listen, from these statistics, it looks things have changed. But there's also one thing that we must do as a country, is to engage with the market and say, hey, it has been at 16, it has been at 60%, it's now at 4%. Can we sit together? You're getting it? So that's where we are weak. The weakest link we have is that we have not really been proactive as a country in engaging our trading partners, in asking questions. And I take an example. We had a challenge in Australia in 2017, 2018, and 2019. In 2019, we went to Australia. We sat down with Australian counterparts, including government, and we asked them, what is it you're telling us about this pest? We realized the mite they were talking about is also in their country. And for that reason, it cannot be a risk, because it's already in your country. Do you know that was able to significantly reduce the interceptions between us and Australia? So in terms of capsicum, we have a responsibility, as we do the good job, to keep engaging and re-engaging with our trading partners, telling them what we've done, comparing notes, sharing, because they're our market and we are their producers. We should not wait until such a time when either they put so much restriction on us for us to look like we're going to the market, and be reactive in our response. And that's what we have been doing for long as a country. So what we have done deliberately, we formed what we call a horticulture task force in Kenya. And that task force then looks at what are the issues, all right, in which product and in which market. Then as a task force, we go there. And this task force has private sector and government institutions that are relevant to horticulture, KFIS, HCD, and also our branding agency, just to be able to speak to those targeted markets. So our capsicum inspections out there continue until such a time that the market will confirm that, listen, it's no longer a challenge to them, but we have a role and a responsibility and a duty. And Beta started by saying statistics. What the market is asking us, put for us data and statistics on the table. Once you give us statistics, let figures speak. Numbers don't lie. So what we need to do now is find out how we can regularly update our trading partners on what we are doing that will convince them, for them to get to know that, listen, if they see anything, it is one of those unfortunate cases, but not negligence from our side. So we have a lot of market out there. Again, for the chili farmers, it's time to encourage them to farm. And our market is not EU. Our market is all over the world.
Yes.
So whereas we are focused so much in EU because they're the first people who started doing business with us, hey, wait a minute, we can also then be able to sell to other markets. And we do not have to sell fresh chilies, by the way. If you sold dried chilies in certain markets, you do not have those issues of interception.
Yes.
because they're not in, I mean, you don't expect false armyworm on dried chili. So if the same market is taking dried chili, why not give them dried chili and reduce on the fresh chili that we take to them? Do value addition of the same chili and take it to them, because it's the same chili.
Okay.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So I keep saying again, let's stop this lazy attitude of saying we must always sell fresh. It must always be done the way it was done 20 years ago. Let's be innovative in our approach.
Okay.
Let's add value addition. Let's look at variety. And most importantly, let's consider other markets and find out who else is doing this, how else do we do it, and introduce our products there. That is a responsibility that must be done by both of us, the private sector and government. And I keep telling people, government will always go, but government goes where the private sector leads them to. So I think it's time for us to have a sober conversation as a country, and as an industry, we have decided to be deliberate in engagement with government. But we also expect that the country, men and women, who I'm told now Kenyans are good on Twitter, and Kenyans on Twitter, Kenyans on social media, it's a good thing. But after you have those comments, can we get down to action where the rubber meets the road? And for me, it's about doing and being consistent and ensuring quality and branding and speaking about the best practices that we have. And for sure, Kenya has the biggest opportunity to sell across the world. And I say it again, throughout the year. That is the advantage you have against the rest of the world.
Which is a great advantage.
That is ours, given by God. So we must thank God for this, and we must then take advantage of the same.
Yes.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Our time is up. Thank you for speaking with us.
Asante sana.
I have been speaking with Okisegere Ojepat, the CEO of the Fresh Produce Consortium. We've been talking about exports of fresh produce, including avocado, banana, as well as capsicum. This has been BizCheck. Thank you very much for your valued company. Kurunzi Mashinani is coming up next with Khalid Abdullahi. My name is Betty Kiptum. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Allah anasema aliyo mbora katika nyie, in the sight of Allah, ataqakum, ni yule mcha Mungu kwenu nyie. Inna Allaha, hakika Mwenyezi Mungu, alimun, yeye ndio is knowing.
إن دافق يخرج من بين سلب والطرائب إنه على رجه لقادر.
Tuwe wenye subra na tusiwe wenye kuweka kisasi dhidi ya wale watu ambao wametukosea, na pia tuwe na uwepesi wa kutoa msamaha biidhnillahi ta'ala.
That's the power of remembering Allah. It's the best way to purify your heart. Know you will be loved by the merciful.
Differently.
Naona kama I'm ever succeeding and always, hata mahali tumekaa Kibera, kuka hapo venye nimekaa imenisaidia kulana a lot. Now I can do, or I'm doing what a normal woman mwenye akuna mguu yote, mwenye naweza kimya, naweza kufanya chochote cannot do.
They always think either you were raped, this was a forced sex that got you into pregnancy, because you were not supposed to, according to the standards that have been set by the society.
We're differently abled, differently